Good evening. Let me welcome you all to the City of San Gabriel Design Review Commission meeting, regular meeting. On January 25th, it is now 6:32. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If I may ask Vice Chair Ramos to lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Roll call, please.
Chair Chang,
Here.
Vice Chair Romo,
Here.
Commissioner Nadolny,
Here.
Commissioner Salo,
Here.
and Commissioner Tu is excused.
Very good, thank you. So we do have a quorum, so we can conduct the meeting accordingly. Tonight's meeting is live streamed on cable channel number 3 and also on our online platforms. For the general public, please email all public comments to drc-publiccomments@sgch.org no later than the time the item is considered by the Design Review Commission. Comments received after items have been considered will not be read into the record. Comments will be read by Executive Assistant Wong for up to 3 minutes each. To prevent any overlapping in comments, each commissioner will be called upon to speak. This is the time for the public comments. The time was now set aside for members of the public to address the Design Review Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda, but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Design Commission cannot answer any questions or take any action until such items set the matter or as the matter may appear as an item on the future agenda. I'd like to ask Executive Assistant Wong, did you receive any public comments on the public comment session? Is Executive Assistant Wong with us tonight? Matt, do we know who would be the assistant helping us on the comments?
Chair Chang, this is Admin Assistant Ortiz. We did not receive any public comment for this item.
Oh, okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
This is Admin Assistant Ortiz. We did not receive any public comment.
Oh, hello, this is Steve.
I'm sorry, did I hear somebody said Steve?
Yeah, this is Steve. I just got disconnected.
Oh, okay. Now you're back in. All right. You're not making any public comments, are you? You're on the one of the agenda items, right? You're one of the speaker?
Yeah, for the project 713 Pearl Street.
Okay, that will come later. So just wait, please.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. So now we move on to item number 2, consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the Design Review Commission or public request separate discussion. Any of the commissioners would like to pull any item on the consent agenda? And the executive assistant, did we receive any requests from the public to pull any items on the consent agenda?
No, we did not.
Thank you, thank you. So, since we did not receive anything and nobody wanted to pull it, the consent agenda consists of item number A, which is the approval of minutes for the November 23rd, 2020 Design Review Commission meeting, and also a recommendation to continue the item 1211 South Ramona Street to a future date to be determined. If I may have the roll call, please, for the approval of the consent agenda.
Roll call vote. Chair Chang,
Yes,
This is a senior planner Matt speaking. I guess the motion is someone need to make a motion and we need to. have a
okay.
second. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Okay, if that's the case, then I'd like to ask for the commissioners to make a motion for approving the consent agenda.
This is Commissioner Nadolny.
Moved by Commissioner Nadoni. Do I hear a second?
I move to approve the consent.
Thank you, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Yes.
This is Commissioner Stilo, I second.
Commissioner Stalo, second. Okay, so roll call, please.
roll call vote. Chair Chang,
Yes,
Vice Chair Romo,
Yes.
Commissioner Nadolny,
Yes.
Commissioner Salo.
Yes.
Motion passed. Vote is 4-0.
thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, which is public hearing. I would ask the city staff to make the comment.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for participating and tuning into tonight's Design Review Commission meeting. My name is Samantha Tiwasar, Planning Manager with the Community Development Department. There are 3 public hearing items tonight. Copies of the agenda and the staff report for tonight's hearing are available on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com. If you wish to comment on any of these items and are not the applicant, please email the public comments to drc-publiccomment@sgch.org no later than the time the item is considered by the Design Review Commission tonight. Comments received after items have been considered will not be read into the record. Any decision made by the Design Review Commission tonight is appealable to the City Council. The deadline for filing an appeal application concerning a decision made tonight is Monday, February 8th. Otherwise, any decision made tonight will be effective on Tuesday, February 9th. If you wish to appeal an application, please contact the project planner for the applicable application and fees. For each item tonight, staff will provide a summary of the staff report, followed by comments from the applicant. Then the public hearing will be open and the recording secretary will begin reading aloud the public comments that have been received during the hearing. Each comment will be read for up to 3 minutes. After the public comments are read, the applicant is provided the opportunity to rebut if they choose. Prior to the close of the public hearing, the commission may ask questions of the applicant, staff, or the city architect. However, once the public hearing is closed, the opportunity for public comment has ended. Chairman, at this time, staff is ready to present item A.
Thank you very much, Planning Manager Samantha. So we'll move on to agenda item number A, which is 713 Grove Street, pending case number SPR 18-035, site plan review. I believe Anthony is the staff presenting. Go ahead, Anthony.
Thank you, Chairman Chang. Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. The first item before you tonight is a site plan review to propose a new 2-story house and attached garage at the address 713 Pearl Street, planning case number SPR 18-035. This item is a continuation from a previous consideration of the project by the commission on November 23rd, 2020. Slide 2, please. The project is located on the south side of Pearl Street between South California Street to the west and San Gabriel Boulevard to the east. The property is developed currently with a 486 square foot single family residence and a detached accessory structure to the rear. The property is surrounded by single family residential units to the north, east, and west, and multifamily units across the street to the south. Slide number 3, please. The property is zoned R1 for a single family residence and has a general land use designation of low density residential. Slide number 4, please. This slide is a short timeline of the project. On May 18, 2020, the DRC originally considered the proposed project. However, due to some concerns, it was continued to the July 27th DRC meeting. Before the July 27th meeting, the owner decided to bring a new designer on board and requested that staff postpone the consideration of the project to allow for the applicant a little bit more time to work on the project. It was brought back. It was brought back November 23rd, 2020. But the item was again continued to tonight's meeting, January 25th, 2021, as some of the comments were not adequately addressed. Slide number 5, please. This slide summarizes some of the comments that were received by the DRC at both the May and November meetings, including reducing the overall height and the floor-to-floor height, fixing some inconsistencies with the calculations that calculated the floor area ratio and lot coverage, working on the rendering to show a more detailed, consistent rendering that was evident of the proposed style, inconsistencies with window and door schedules, addressing concerns that were brought up by neighbors about privacy, reducing the size of the garage windows, and addressing privacy concerns with windows on the east elevation. Slide number 6, please. This slide shows a renderings of what was presented in November of 2020 and what you are seeing before you tonight at the January DRC meeting. This shows the shadow lines and the recess of the windows to show that it is a project that is following the Spanish colonial style. Slide number 7, please. Landscaping is shown along the eastern property line. It's actually shown to the top of this image shown on the screen to show that the applicant is proposing to add American pillar arbor vitae trees. This is done to help with the previous privacy concerns that were brought up by some of the neighbors. An image of these trees can be found in attachment E of your packets tonight. Those images are with the trees grown to the mature height. Item number 8, please. Some other revisions that were made to the project. A small 2x2 window, 2x2 foot window was added on the front elevation to provide more character to the project from the street. The height was reduced for a foot to make the new floor-to-floor height 9 feet. Second floor windows along the eastern property line are now frosted. The applicant provided a section to show the new ceiling height, and a majority of the windows are now consistent to be single hung. The applicant and the owner also did communicate with the neighbors and showed them the plans to show that they addressed those privacy concerns that were previously brought up. Slide number 9, please. The proposed project meets all the San Gabriel Municipal Code requirements for setbacks, parking, height, lot coverage, and floor area ratio. The project provides setbacks that are well within the requirements, lot coverage and FAR that are below the maximum allowances. And as stated before, since the November meeting, the height has been reduced by another foot. Slide number 10, please. San Gabriel Municipal Code requires a comparison of the one-story versus two-story homes within a 300-foot radius. There are currently 10 properties with a two-story residence, and those 10 properties are shown in red on the map on your screen. Slide number 11. Slide number 11 and 12 actually show some of the two-story, or those 10 two-story residences that are within that 300-foot radius. So slide number 11 and slide number 12, please. And those are the remaining of the 10. Thank you. Slide number 13, please. The land use designation is low density residential, which would allow for the proposed project. The project also meets the following goal of the 2004 general plan, which is community design goal 10.3, to create designs that live and breathe with the San Gabriel neighborhoods as they themselves live and breathe. Slide number 14, please. This project is exempt from the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act per guideline section 15303 class 3 for new construction or conversion of small structures. Slide number 15, please. Since this item was continued to a date certain from the November 23rd, 2020 DRC meeting, it was not required to be renoticed. Slide number 16, please. To that, staff recommends that the Design Review Commission adopt a resolution of the Design Review Commission of the City of San Gabriel, California, approving planning case number SPR 18-035 for a site plan review at 713 Pearl Street to allow the construction of a new two-story single-family residence and attached garage, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. And this will conclude staff's presentation tonight, and staff is available for any questions that the commission might have. And staff also wants to add that the owner and the designer are both on the line for this, if you have any questions for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Any of the commissioner have any question for staff? Commissioner Stalo? Nadoni? And Vice Chair, any question for staff?
No.
Okay, thank you. Is the project applicant or the owner would like to address the commission? Please state your name and your address for the record, please. Anthony, did you say that the applicant or the representative are here?
Yes, we have Steve Sun, the designer, on the line, and also David and Cherry, the owners of 713 Pearl, if they would like to make any comments.
Sure. Steve, would you like to, do you have anything else you want to add to the presentation? I believe you are not muted. I see all the calling numbers are all in green. Was he the one that came in early and said that he's Steve? I think that was him, right?
Yes, that was the one.
And the owner's name is David?
David, correct. And I'm checking right now. I believe we have them. We have Steve on the line.
This is David. This is David. We have nothing to add.
Okay.
For this moment. Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. All right. So if you have any question later, then we may, the commissioner want to address you, please yourself or the your designer can step up and answer. Okay. All right, thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant from the commissioners? All right, hearing none, I would open up for the public portion of the comments. I'll ask Executive Assistant Wong, have you received any public comments up to this point?
Not for this item, Chairman. We didn't receive anything.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I'll close the public portion of the meeting for this particular project, and I'd like to open it up for our discussion. I'll start with Commissioner Salo, if I may.
It appears that the applicant has responded positively to the comments that we recommended at the last meeting in November. And I'm glad to see that they added that extra window to the front elevation and the molding and the window treatment and the improved renderings with the shadow lines, and also lowering the height of the building at the second floor. So I feel that adequately satisfied that the design is consistent with others that we have approved previously.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Nadolny, any comment from you?
Yeah, just a comment that I appreciate the work that has been done to improve this project, both by the owners, the designer, and also city staff. I would like to just kind of make a comment on the comparison, which is attachment F. You can just see it's not just the shadow line, but if you look at the alignment of the top of the windows to the top of the door in the new rendering, it makes everything seem so much better. Whereas the old rendering from November had the windows higher than the header of the door, and it just didn't. You know, it's something you can't pinpoint when you look at it. You think there's something awkward about it. The improvements are much appreciated. I'd like to commend them. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you for those comments. I appreciate that. We'll move on to Vice Chair Ramos. What is your comment?
I also like to echo the comments made by the two other commissioners on the improvement of the house. I think the house is more balanced when you look at the front facade of the house and on the street elevation. And I also appreciate the landscaping. I think the landscaping is appropriate on the side to provide privacy for the neighbors and yet not take up a ton of room by the plant materials that were selected. So they provide that screen for the neighbor. Thank you. No other comments.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. I echoed everything was said by the commissioners. Even though it may take a little bit longer from the first time we saw the project, but I guess we all agree that the process is working. All the comments made by the commissioners over the whole duration of 3 times, and the owner and the designer take those comments to heart and work on it by reproportioning the building and lower the plate height and improve the window details and realigning all the elements. And I think at the end, not just the owner, but the neighbors would appreciate the final outcome. So yes, I agree with all the comments made wholeheartedly. So that's pretty much I hear from the commissioners. Sounds like it's going to get a motion to approve the project. So may I hear a motion for approval, please?
Yes, this is Vice Chair Romo making a motion to approve the project at 713 Pearl Street.
Thank you very much. I'd like to hear a second.
This is Commissioner Salo. I'll second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Roll call vote, Chair Chang,
Yes.
Vice Chair Romo,
Yes.
Commissioner Nadolny,
Yes.
Commissioner Salo.
Yes.
Motion passed. Vote is 4-0.
Thank you very much. Motion passed. Congratulations. And so move forward with the project. We'll move on to agenda item number B, 541 Girona Avenue, planning case number SPR 20-058, site plan review. Anthony, I think you are also presenting this project.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Chang. So the next item before you tonight is for a site plan review to propose a second-story addition to an existing single-family residence at 541 Girona Avenue, planning case number SPR 20-058. Slide number 2, please. The project site is located on the west side of Girona Avenue, between Longden Drive to the north and Roses Road to the south. Slide number 3, please. The property is currently developed with a 1,518 square foot single-family residence and a detached garage. The property is neighbored by single-family homes on all 4 sides. Slide number 4, please. The property is zoned R1 for single-family residence and has a general land use designation of low-density residential. Slide number 5, please. The proposed project would add a new 787 square foot second story to an existing 1-story single-family residence. The project would also look to add onto the existing first floor. The existing 2-car garage and newly constructed pool and spa are proposed to be maintained. Slide number 6, please. The proposed project looks to maintain the existing architectural style, which is a traditional ranch. This proposed project looks to provide and even maintain many of the elements, such as the horizontal orientation relative to the street level. This is by doing it with the horizontal siding, low-pitched hip roofs with the wider eaves, large windows with a large glazed area, and maintaining the combination of the stucco and siding with the wood details. The second story addition is also set back an additional about 28 feet from the front face of the existing first story to minimize the massing effect that the project would have at the street level. Slide number 7, please. This slide just shows some different perspectives from the rendering that the applicant team has provided for us. Yes, so slide number 8, please. The proposed project meets all of the San Gabriel Municipal Code requirements for setbacks, parking, building height, lot coverage, and the floor area ratio. The project provides setbacks that are well within the requirements of the San Gabriel Municipal Code. Slide number 9, please. San Gabriel Municipal Code requires a comparison of the 1 to 2-story houses within the 300-foot radius. There are currently 13 properties at the 2-story residence within the 300-foot radius. Photos of the properties that do fall within that 300-foot radius are provided in attachment E in your packets tonight. Slide number 10, please. The land use designation is low density residential, which would allow for this project. The project also meets the following goal of the 2004 general plan, which is community design goal 10.3, create designs that live and breathe with San Gabriel's neighborhoods as they themselves live and breathe. Slide 11, please. This project is exempt from the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA per guideline 15303/3 for new construction or conversion of small structures. Slide number 12, please. This project was noticed in the following ways. Mailed notices were sent to properties within the 300-foot radius. A notice was posted at the project site, which is shown in the picture on the slide above. The agenda was also posted at City Hall, Post Office, Library, and City website, as well as having a notice posted in the San Gabriel Sun. Slide number 13, please. With that, staff recommends that the Design Review Commission adopt a resolution of the Design Review Commission of the City of San Gabriel, California, approving planning case number SPR 20-0, sorry about that, it's supposed to say 058, at 541 Girona Avenue to add a new second-story addition to an existing single-family residence, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. Thank you. This will conclude staff's presentation. Staff is available for any questions if you have them. And once again, we also have the designer and the owners on the line to answer any questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Any question for staff from the commissioners? Commissioner Stego?
No.
Commissioner Nadoni?
No questions for staff.
Okay, Commissioner Vice Chair Ramos?
No questions?
Vice Chair Ramos?
No questions.
Any question?
No.
Sounds like you.
No.
Thank you very much. Maybe I can ask the, thank you. Maybe I can just ask staff quickly. Do we have, I couldn't seem to be able to find the floor to plate height on the second floor addition. I see the overall height at 28 feet. It doesn't look like they indicated the existing floor to ceiling height on the first floor and or the second floor. Did I miss that, or were you able to do it? If you can help me to answer it, or
Yes, Chairman Chang, let me actually open up the plans.
Yeah.
It's on the floor plan on page, give me 1 second. On sheet A4.0, it shows the height of the first floor. Looks like just about all of the rooms are about 8 foot 2 inches. And on the next sheet, 4.1, it shows the height of the second floor.
which is 9'4", right? Okay, so okay.
Correct, for the second floor.
So they didn't show it on the section, but rather they show it on the floor. All right, thank you. Thank you for clarification. All right. I'll move on to open up the public portion of the meeting. Maybe I can invite the applicant, the designer, and or the owner, that if you have any additional information to address the commission.
Yeah, this is Paul Porter, the owner. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Mr. Porter.
Great. I'm here with my wife, Gloria, and obviously we can answer any questions you have. But I did want to thank staff. 2020 was obviously a crazy year for everybody, and we appreciate, I can't tell you how responsive they were every time we had an email about process or sort of requirements that we had in responding to city architect and the various issues. And they were always super responsive and informative and very positive attitude. And we really appreciated that. As you might see from the full package, we collaborated with our neighbors. We made changes to address concerns of our neighbors, which are also really good friends of ours. We're kind of blessed over here on Girona to have a very tight group, and they submitted a lot of letters of support, as you can see. And it's been, we're just really relieved that we're able to keep it moving during the pandemic. And again, just thanking staff for that. And thank you for your consideration. And if you have any questions, Martin the designer who did all this great work that you're looking at is also on the call. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Appreciate that. Does any of the commissioner have any question for the owner and or the designer?
Yes, this is Commissioner Nadolny. I have just a couple of questions. I'm glad you brought up the floor because I couldn't find it either, Chairman. But I did notice on the elevations that it appears, because it's a little confusing, or I should say it's a little misleading. The staff report had 28-foot height, building height. But when you look at the elevations, A6.1, 2, it which we normally don't see that. So when you really look at it, the building is a lot lower. Am I correct in making that assumption?
I guess maybe Martin, you can answer that because usually we show the dimension on the either section or the elevation. In your case, you had it labeled on your floor plan, and if I add up 8 foot 2 inches and about 1 foot of structural, and then your 9 foot 4 inches ceiling height, and then your 1 foot structural again for the ceiling. I don't know if that roof slope really add up to 28 feet. I don't know how accurate that is. Maybe you can address that, Martin.
Yeah, because the house is on a.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the house is on a slight. There's a little bit of a slope going up towards the house, so we just wanted to be on the safe side to show that if you measure it from the worst case scenario, which is like the public sidewalk, it still meets that 28-foot requirement. So to answer your question, structurally, it is less than 28 feet high. It's going to be about 25 feet. There's a 3-foot difference from the actual driveway to the actual public sidewalk. That's how much it goes up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that makes me feel much better. Basically, when I see it on the allowable versus what existed, it's so close that it. But looking at your drawings, the way you designed it, you're well within the 28 feet.
Yeah. But we just wanted to show worst case scenario because some cities measure it from the sidewalk. We weren't so sure what the worst case, but we wanted to make sure with whatever envelope you guys measure your height from, we were well within that requirement.
Got it. Okay. I have on your sheet A 2.0, the site plan. You're indicating a vinyl fence. Is that?
What was that again? It kind of broke up.
You're indicating a vinyl. Is that new or is existing?
This is Paul Porter. It's existing, and we put that in when we put in the pool. Your speaker is breaking up, by the way.
Sorry, I'm not sure why.
It's fading in out a little bit, but I guess
Okay.
The internet sometimes will give you that problem.
I'm on my phone, so.
With the pool, when we put in the pool, the fence was part of the permit for the pool.
Okay, and that is a 6-foot fence?
Yes.
The other question I had, if you look at the site plan around your new patio, this would be on the north side. There is a gray line that appears to kind of it goes in the east or the north-south direction, then it's along the property line on the north. What is that gray line? Just out of curiosity, because I see in your landscape plan, you've got planting up against that fence. Is it up against the vinyl fence, or is there another wall or a curb or something that's happening there?
There's an existing, I see now your question, the vinyl fence is actually back by the pool. Next to that patio you're talking about it's about a 3 or 4 foot concrete wall with currently a wooden top to it to take it up to 6 feet. And I'm going to replace that to match the vinyl that's in the back. But it's a concrete block. I think it's probably been there from when they built the house. It's one of those, short walls that you see. So that's what goes along the north property line, at least the easterly portion of it adjacent to this patio. That the gray line that you're asking about is, and Martin, I don't know if the right word for it is a retaining wall, but that is a raised area of the yard because you step out of the house, and we wanted that patio to be the same elevation as the house when you step out, or just a slight step down. So that patio is kind of raised there. And Martin, I don't know if the right word is retaining wall, but I'm guessing that's what the commissioner is referring to.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's a small little 18-inch high retaining wall to make sure that patio area is level with the existing house finished floor.
Okay, so that's the patio. What about the decomposed granite? Is that stepped down then, or is that also
No,
raised?
that's also raised, same level, that butts up against that retaining wall.
I see. So effectively then, the only reason I was bringing it up is on your landscape plan, you showed herbs along there, and also creeping, was it creeping fig?
Yeah, I just want to put some kind of vinyl on the fence, a vine on the fence.
Yeah, I would just caution, and Commissioner Romo may want to, I don't know if she agrees or not, but that it's very invasive. So you may want to look at it.
Right, it doesn't have to be creeping fig.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually have creeping fig in my backyard, and it's a lot of work to try to keep it manicured the way my husband wants to keep it. So if you're going to be doing a lot of maintenance, that's a good call.
That's what we, the bottom part of the wall is white stucco, and over by the pool, we have two espalier citrus trees that we're sort of training on a trellis. We just want something in front of that white wall so it's not so reflective. Doesn't have to be creeping, but there'll be some plants along there. It's what we have currently as an herb garden there. So we just wanted something as a backdrop to break up the all white of the white stucco with the white vinyl on the top of it.
Gotcha. Okay. Another question on A 4.0, which is your first floor plan. I'm kind of curious. It's a little confusing what the dotted lines indicate. Are those walls that are going to be removed, or at least the floor plan I have does not show them as solid walls?
Yeah, those are walls. It's only there's not a legend, but they're supposed to be non-load bearing walls. That's the difference. The ones that are gray are carrying structural load versus the other ones are just partition walls. But we'll clarify that on the actual floor plan.
Are those existing walls?
Yes, they are.
Okay, all right. The other comment I had was on your door schedule and your window schedule, which would be A 4.6 and A 4.7. They're all the doors and all the windows are scheduled. Are you replacing all the doors and windows? Are they all new, or are some of them existing to be refurbished?
No, these are just for the new windows only. New windows and new doors.
But you scheduled all the doors?
Most of them, yeah. For example, the front door is not on the schedule because that's an existing door to remain. That's the front entrance door. There's a few doors that aren't scheduled on there because they're existing.
What about the windows?
The windows, some of them are not being replaced, but majority are though. Like for example, the bay windows around the kitchen. There's a few in the dining room that are not being touched. Also with the existing living room as well. They're not scheduled because they're existing.
Okay, all right. Those are all the questions I had. I do want to commend you on your context, showing the existing properties, giving us an idea what's where. And I think you've done a pretty good job on adding a second story to an existing one-story house. That's all the comments I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Ramos, you have any question for the applicant?
No questions, just comments when we get to that point.
Okay, very good. I have just a couple of quick questions. Are you matching the roofing material to the existing, or have you checked, or were you able to get a good match on the material?
Yeah, we're matching the existing material. They still make that same roofing shingle.
Oh, okay. So you checked already, right? You were able to find it, and you're just going to replace only the new portion. You're going to keep the existing pretty much intact as much as you can, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. And the type of window that you want to replace, what type of window is that? What is it?
You're talking about the opening style or the brand?
The new window and the existing window. Can you help me to understand what is existing, what's the new window proposed? Are you matching that also?
Yeah, the majority of the existing windows on the house are single hung windows. And for the second story addition, the majority are also single hung, with the exception of some areas. For example, in the bathrooms, we're using awning windows for ventilation. And there's a few areas where I believe we had some casement windows as well. But majority are all single hung to match the same style as the existing home.
And the existing windows are vinyl, wood.
Yeah,
They're the original wood windows. I can feel the breeze coming through the one right next to me now.
Okay, so you're able to match the with the wood window on the second floor also, as far as the style and the material, pretty much, or
no? For second floor, for all the new windows, we're going to use a vinyl white window.
Okay.
We're not going to be using wood ones.
Why that's.
But it's going to look similar in style though.
Okay. So the reason why I ask is because depends how many of the existing windows you want to keep and how well they function. Sometimes when you go through a major remodel like that, people would like to replace the existing non-working windows to match. So I just a recommendation that you may want to consider if they are not working. Sometimes it's very hard to match the existing wood window if they have been outdated. And then if you are trying to match it, at least try to get the button size about the same, and then the jamb and head details. It will look as one project rather than completely different from the outside. So that's just one.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're actually, the only windows that are not being replaced are in the kitchen. There's two sort of garden bay windows, and then there's a bay window at the front of the house that we replaced several years ago with a modern vinyl. But those are the only windows, and the others will all be the exact same. I appreciate what you're saying. The last thing we want to try to do is match at least the functionality of these things, because they're just really old and I don't know what the R value is, but it's not great. So we're gonna bite the bullet and upgrade the whole thing, but the aesthetics will be the same.
Appreciate that. Thank you. That's pretty much all the question I have. Any other question from the commission?
This is Commissioner Salo.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that I really appreciate the approach that the applicant has taken to respect the style of the existing home and putting the second story addition set back from the front of the house. Also appreciate all of the renderings that they commissioned the designer to produce for us to help us visualize the project. And all the letters of support, reaching out to neighbors and all that. My only one comment that I'd like to point out would be that on the landscaping plan, And on the rendering showing the landscaping in the front yard, I think the rendering shows some plants that are being put there that I don't see on the landscaping plan. So you may need to add those so that we can identify them. Other than that, I think it's a very handsome project. Thank you.
On the front yard, we're actually not changing any of the plants out there. It's pre-existing and the front of the house isn't really being impacted. And we want to do that, but we're going to have to wait a few years to gather up some more money.
Okay.
I see. So on the landscaping plan, it just shows that existing to remain, and the rendering is showing what is existing.
Yes, in fact, the picture that Anthony showed, if you look at it, I don't know how Martin did this, but it's actually a photo of our grass with the new proposed house behind it. It's a really cool sort of representation of what it's going to look like, because I noticed that the brown spot on my grass is there.
Okay, so then maybe you'll just need to identify that on the landscape plan as existing to remain over on the front lawn, because right now it just shows as existing grass.
Okay, we'll update it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, commissioners. I'll go to the Executive Assistant Wong. Did you receive any further comments from any of the public members?
Yes, Chairman Cheng, we received one.
Can you please read it for us?
Yes, Chairman. It's from Holly Caruso at 536 Segovia Avenue. And it says, I received a letter in the mail that the house at 541 Girona will be having a design hearing on January 25th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. to discuss the plans. I am the owner of 536 Girona Avenue, right behind this property. I am concerned to have a two-story home that is increased in size. Can you please give me the details of the plans? What are they trying to do? Are they applying for a variance? If they are applying for a variance, I'm concerned because we are directly behind and already have no privacy from this home. We also have less sun, and that will affect the sun coming into our backyard garden. A second story will make it even worse. Are they zoned and have enough land to increase their square footage? Please provide details. That concludes the public comment, Chairman.
Thank you very much. What I'd like to do is to maybe I can go to the applicant and hear your comments based on what you just heard from your, I believe that would be the westerly neighbor, right? The one back to back with you.
That I do have a comment, actually. This is Paul.
Yes, Paul.
I believe that Mrs. Caruso, and I don't know her, was actually confused about which project is being. She's not directly behind me. She's behind my neighbor, which is a two-story house. And you can see she's concerned about that she already doesn't have privacy. I can't even see her house from mine, and she can't see mine from hers because she's diagonal from me and my garage is between us. And she's also talking about a potential blocking of sun, which is not possible since I'm north of her. So when I saw that email, I didn't want to go knock on her door. No one likes to be bothered at home, but I believe she was probably talking about my neighbor that already has a two-story house that looks into her backyard. She's not directly behind me.
Okay.
Directly behind us is already a two-story house.
I see.
Which is her neighbor. I don't know, that's my guess, but if you read that email, that's what it sounds like to me.
So yes, thank you, appreciate that. Maybe a quick question for staff. So Holly's home is basically south of the subject property, right? It's not
Yes,
direct.
let me see. Not south. It is. Let me look at the map really quick. Chairman Cheng, sorry about that.
No problem. But if you're coming to Mr. Porter, if she is kitty corner from their property, it's on the south side, which is on the southwest corner. of that.
Southwest corner, correct. And Chairman Ching, I did also want to add that I myself, city staff, contacted the neighbor, Miss Caruso, I think her last name is,
Correct.
and just to explain, because I think there was a misunderstanding that they were actually proposing a variance for this project. And I just basically informed her that everything is within what is allowed in the San Gabriel Municipal Code. And I also sent her a copy of the staff report and the plans to take a look at. And I have not heard back after that.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So, okay, I think we have both city staff and the applicant address the neighbor's concern. I will now, it is now 7:28. There'll be, since we're not hearing any further public comments, there'll be no more public comments will be read into the record. Now is the time that we want to close the public meeting, and then we'll go on to our own internal deliberation. We'll start with Commissioner Salo.
Yeah, again, I think the project, the applicant and the designer took a really good approach for developing it. So I think it's okay for approval. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Commissioner Lidoni?
No, I have no further comments other than just curious if there was any comments from the city architect.
Is the city architect with us today?
Yeah, sorry, I have myself muted and on video. No, really don't have any comments. I mean, the things that you've expressed, it's a very well executed project. I think it's very clean. They've done a nice job with window and door placement and proportions of all those. Materiality is very good. I actually really appreciated the variation on the siding. It's very appropriate for the style, but just adds a little bit of flair to the project. So, and I've appreciated the fact that they've located that addition sort of in the middle of the site and at the rear of the building. So I think its impact on the neighbors is negligible, if any, and it was a very strong project.
Thank you very much, Dale. Appreciate that. Any further comment, Commissioner Lidoni?
Nope, I have no further comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Vice Chair Ramos?
I'd also like to give kudos to the applicant. I think one of the things that was extremely beneficial was their project goals that were articulated with the on 4 pages. So we knew what they were up to with their addition, and kind of the history of them being in the home and what they wanted to use the home for. Being a long-term resident in San Gabriel, I can definitely, I know what it feels like to have the kids grown, and what are you going to do next with your property? And I think that was it was articulated. And when you look at the doors in the backyard and for the patio, I think it all flows nicely for what they want to accomplish. Just to comment on the creeping fig, it can get very thick over years. So if you want to try to look at something else, maybe a trellis structure with another type of smaller vine might be appropriate to offset that reflective vinyl wall there. That's my last comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Looks like we getting some feedback from some of the applicant or the designers that are not part of this contract, if you would just put yourself on mute for now, at least I think will make the record a little more clear for the people. So if you can just put yourself on mute for now, unless your turn to talk. I agree with the comments made. I want to congratulate the applicant. You live in one of the very beautiful street in North St. Gabriel, and it's a beautiful home even now. And with this addition, it's going to be able to satisfy your need. And I think between yourself and the designer, they have done a decent job. And so I can support the project. So I don't have any issue with it right now. Just try to consider the window and the roof replacement and try to make it consistent with the existing, and that includes the stucco color and the so that it looks like it's one project. It doesn't look like a pop-up. So that would be my when it comes to implementation, pay attention to those to make it look like. Okay.
Okay.
Pretty much what I have, and if I may have a motion for on this project.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Salo. I motion to approve the project.
Thank you. Do I hear?
Commissioner Nadolny, I second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Roll call vote, Chair Chang,
Yes.
Vice Chair Romo,
Yes.
Commissioner Nadolny,
Yes.
Commissioner Salo.
Yes.
Motion passed, vote is 4-0.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, and we like to see the addition done quickly. So we could.
Us too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. So we move on to agenda item number C, 1616 Euclid Avenue /1619 Walnut Street, APN number 5370-007 and -008. Pending case number PPD 19-003, precise plan of design. Matt, you're going to do the presentation on this one.
Yes, good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. For your consideration tonight, a precise plan of design for a mixed-use project is in front of you for your consideration. You can go to slide number 2. The subject size consists of 3 parcels, and you can see from the aerial picture that the project site is about 140 feet south of Valley Boulevard and got 2 street frontages, one facing Euclid Avenue and the other one is facing Walnut Street. If you can go to the next slide, please. The subject zone zone MUC, which stands for Mixed Use Corridor within our Valley Boulevard specific plan area. So development standards going by the Valley Boulevard specific plan. If you can go to the next slide, please. Like staff mentioned before, the zoning is MUC within our Valley Boulevard SP, and lot size 0.5 acres. The proposed project will have 38 apartment units, and they all consist of a studio or 1-bedroom units. And on the ground level will be parking space as well as a commercial square footage of 2,366 square feet. Next slide, please. Staff has reviewed this project, and the project is consistent with city's general plan, including the land use designation as well as several land use and housing goals. And the detail or description of this land use and housing goals are in your staff report. You can go to the next slide. As far as the development standard, the project is consistent with the zoning and the retail use is allowed on the ground floor, and the housing units is limited to second and higher levels. And as part of the Valley Boulevard specific plan, there are several policy regarding land use strategy, which the specific plan identifies certain area of the zone and given a land use strategy. And this is land use strategy number 3. You can go to next slide, please. The project itself comply with the development standard established for this particular zone, including but not limited to building height, lot coverage, floor area ratio, setbacks. Next slide, please. As well as parking space, guest parking, and open space requirement. If you can go to next slide, please. City staff as well as the city architect have reviewed the proposed architectural design, and the design comply with city's architectural design criteria and guidelines for the following categories, which is architectural style, building mass, entrance, facade composition, roof, awnings, trellis, canopies. Next slide, please. This is elevation view looking from Euclid Avenue, standing more on north of the projects are looking at the project. Like staff mentioned it before, the project is 3-story, and the main entrance will be facing on Euclid Avenue with a little courtyard. So for the residents as well as commercial will be accessing from here. But the majority of driveway or will be out off on Walnut Street. You can go to the next slide, please. This is a elevation view looking from Walnut Street, and the residents will be parked at the subterranean level, and that driveway access will be coming from Walnut Street. So it'll be coming from this access point. Next slide, please. The project went to an environmental review process, and the applicant has submitted a technical study. And in the process, that city select our own city consultant to do a peer review of this particular project. And city staff as well as city consultant have looked at the project and determined that the project is exempt from the environmental requirements, a class 32 exemption. Next slide, please. For the project notice, we noticed this particular hearing in the San Gabriel newspaper, as well a hearing notice to all owners and occupants within 500 foot of the project site. And hearing notices also were posted at the project site, one facing Euclid Avenue and the other one facing Walnut Street. Next slide, please. In conclusion, staff is recommending the Design Review Commission to adopt a resolution to approve this particular project for a mixed-use project at 1616 Euclid Avenue, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. Staff would like to point out that in addition to city architect, we also have city's environmental consultant, Nate Bowen from Meridian Consultant, is available here tonight to answer any secret or environmental review related questions. And this concludes staff's presentation, and staff is ready for questions. Chair, I think you are muted.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Salo, do you have any questions for staff?
No, I do not have any additional questions.
Commissioner Nadoni, any question for staff?
Yes, there was in July 2020. What were the results of the public outreach?
The applicant's representative Dave Gutierrez is here on the line, so he can provide a update on the community outreach host or prepared by the applicants team.
Good evening, members of the commission, Chairman Chang.
Dave, Dave, I think, sorry, can you hold on? Still a staff question at this point.
Okay.
So we'll save it for your turn. Thank you.
No, not a problem. I didn't know if you wanted me to answer that now or wait.
Why don't we just, if it's addressing the same issue, since you have the information, maybe we will just open up to you later on when we get to the public portion. Okay.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Any other question besides this one? You got a public outreach?
Not for me, no.
Okay. Vice Chair Ramos, any question for staff?
No questions for staff.
Okay. I just have a quick one. Did this project has to go to Planning Commission because of the mixed use project? This is for staff, or just
this project doesn't require a planning commission review and approval. The subject project is going to be mixed use, but it's going to be apartment units. And typically for mixed use project, it involves condo projects. So tentative tract map, which planning commission has authority or has a review body to review any tentative tract map for subdivision for condominium purposes. And for this particular project, since it's an apartment unit, so it's not a subdivision, it doesn't require a planning commission review and approval. So design review commission will be the kind of decision body for this particular project.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Since there's no more question for city staff, I'd like to open it up for the applicant and or the applicant's representative. Please come forward, and any further information you may have to address the commission, please give us your name and address, please.
Good evening, Chairman Chang. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay. Chairman Chang, members of the commission, thank you very much for the opportunity of addressing the commission. I'd like to begin this evening by thanking staff for their sincere efforts in trying to help this project that's been well underway for about 2 years now, in providing direction, being available, and certainly for the very thorough staff report that was written by Matt Chang. I'd like to point out just a couple of highlights of which Mr. Chang had already provided you information on, but specifically to highlight that the project meets the goals of the general plan as well as the policy, the land use strategy 3, which are highlighted and outlined on your staff report on page 4. The proposed project is below the allowable FAR. The total allowed FAR for this project is 2.0. As proposed, the project will be coming in at 1.57. The lot coverage allowed is 90%, proposed at 89. And I think one of the real highlights and the amenities of this particular project is the open space. The required open space for this project is 2,200 square feet, and as proposed, we'll be bringing in 3,785 square feet, which is rather significant. On November 25th of 2019, the project was presented to the Design Review Commission as a project review. At that time, Chairman Chang, you may remember that the project was significantly larger in scale. Mass was proposed on one side with 4 stories. There were some design concerns that were spotlighted by members of the design review at that time. The development team, specifically the architect, took those to heart and reduced the scale of the project tremendously to 3 stories, and went to work certainly on a design, taking into account the recommendation suggestion by the city architect and working with staff to accomplish those. I want to let you know that joining our team this evening and available to address any concerns and/or comments or questions are Kenneth Pang, who is representing the architect of record, the CDA, Eric Freeman with Emerald Design. He is the landscape architect of record, and also from ownership is Jimmy Liang. So that completes my initial presentation. I am available also to answer questions, and certainly if Commissioner Nadolny wants me to answer the specific questions she asked earlier with regard to the July 6th letter to the community, I'd be very happy to do so at this time.
That would be nice. She did ask about any feedback from the community on the outreach. If you have any information, please answer to some of her concerns.
Absolutely. The letter that went out provided an opportunity for the neighbors within the proximity of 500 feet of the property to look at the plans, the design plans, elevations, and make comments. A total of 5 comments were received. I specifically answered each one of the comments. Specifically, the comments were focused on concerns relating to the size of the project, concerns related to traffic, the number of units that were being proposed, and the questions relating to any specific requirements that we were asking for, allowances and variances and those types of things. I answered the questions specifically using the parameters that were outlined by the Valley Boulevard specific plan and the allowances of the zoning of this particular parcel to address those concerns. Again, many of the concerns related to just that the project is too big, it shouldn't be allowed, it would increase traffic, it would put extra demands on the infrastructure. I cited again the fact that as a part of the approval of the Valley Boulevard specific plan, which was approved in 2006, that the environmental impact report was done at that time, and all of the CEQA requirements were performed specifically as required by the city and reviewed by peers, and found that the project was categorically exempt.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any other team member of yours and the design team would like to address the commission at this time?
Kenneth, would you like to say something at this time?
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman Chang. This is Kenneth Pang for CDA. I just want to say thank you for the team again. As David was saying, thank you for staff for the amazing job they've done for the past couple of years. But I personally have nothing to add. I think the staff has done a great job along with David to cover the main items for this project. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have. So thank you.
Thank you. That pretty much conclude the applicant's presentation. I think if you have any further question, we can ask maybe landscape-wise to the landscape architect. All right, good, thank you. Any other commissioners would have any question for the applicant at this time? Commissioner Sale.
No, no more questions.
Okay, Commissioner Nadolny, any further questions?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Vice Chair Rama?
I do have a question for the landscape architect. And this is regarding the south property line and the landscaping that is proposed. If I'm correct, there are 2 residential homes just south of this property. Along one property line for one of the house, there are 3 trees that are proposed. And then there are shrubs and vines proposed, but those are for the interior of the property all along the south border there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I believe one of my comments at the last meeting was to definitely screen and use plant materials to help buffer the mixed use project with the residential. I think the 3 trees do that with the one property, but on the other, it seems to be lacking that screening. And I don't know if there's the possibility to put some of the vines on the building itself. The vine that you show can grow up to 25 feet. So that if you wanted to put that on the building side to have a vertical green wall, that would, if you don't have room for other trees along that other side, along that walnut property line on the south side, it would definitely help buffer. That's my only comment. Oh, I have one more comment actually on the landscaping. On the north side, once again, one of the things that you have is that alley, and blank walls can be a magnet for graffiti. So looking at doing something with vines or other plant materials along that north face wall along the alley.
Yes, I agree. In fact, I think that we do have some vines planted along that north wall. They might be hard to see, but they're called out. I see vine planting along wall, so we will make sure that happens. And for the south side, I think some additional trees, we can look into whether there's room to put those trees. Putting vines on the building itself gets into a maintenance issue, but we can take a look at that as well.
Yeah, I think that some type of screening for both of the residential properties there along the south is needed, and I think the trees definitely provide some protection on the west side, but there's not too much going on the east side.
Hi, may I step in really quickly? This is Kenneth Pang for Creative Design Associates, the architect. Just wondering, so basically we do have some screening along that south side, along that parking area. So I just want to get a better understanding of what you want to see, if you do have to refine it, because we do have a fence wall along that property line as well. So, and there is vines planted on it. So at the ground level, basically that view is completely screened by a CMU wall that's been planted with vines. And on the upper level, you basically you have very limited amount of windows on the second level also. So I'm just, is the intent of the screening through vines an aesthetic thing, or is it more of a concern for, you're trying to limit the view of our development from the neighbor's standpoint, or I'm just trying to get a better sense of what the goal is basically. Yeah.
I think it's twofold. Number one, you want to definitely look at beautifying your property line there. You also have the screening. These are single-family homes that will then have a structure next door that it's 3 stories tall. So by having something that's taller, you buffer that look and you provide the aesthetics as well. And so that's when you have that vertical, you have something in between the wall and the top of the building. Your eye goes to the closest height. You'll see the wall first, and then your eye will go to the tree or whatever next element, and that will definitely help buffer the 3-story building. I have a utility line and a utility post catty corner to my house that's very large and imposing, but the landscaping at a lower level detracts from that utility line. And I don't need to have a 30-foot tree to hide that. I can just have something lower that aesthetically brings the eye down and you don't see that massing.
Okay, all right, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
I'm on the same subject. What number of trees would you find appropriate? Do you have an idea or a spacing?
Well, I think as a landscape architect, I think that's something that you need to try to develop and propose something because you have a home there. So looking at what's there existing just south of your property line and try to build something to minimize their views to your property. And it might not be a tree, it might just be, an Italian cypress or something different that will help just buffer the two properties.
Okay, so you're open to the quantities. The reason I'm asking is I'm looking on Google right now at the properties, and they're set back differently from the property line, and that'll affect views.
Yeah.
And just giving a number or a spacing might not accomplish what you're asking. So
Yeah.
I wanted to know if you had a number in mind, or if you had something, or if I had the freedom to do what I feel appropriate.
I think you have the freedom, and I would look at the open spaces and looking at where there are windows, how that works with your property. That you have a building and you have like backyard space, side yard, front side yard. So I think the front side yard is important, the backyard is important, and what is in between is also less important because that view is going to be much, it's just going to be from window to the wall. It's not going to see the full building height. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And I tend to agree with Vice Chair Ramos' comment. Being a higher density compared to your neighbors to the south, anything you can do as a landscape architect to soften that boundary is going to help the project. So I think you should work with staff trying to get something that is soften that boundary. So that's my comment with to the applicant. So if there's no more question for the applicant, I would like to ask Executive Assistant Wong, have you received any further comment from the general public?
Yes, Chairman, we received a total of 8 public comments for this item.
8, number 8 of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, please read it to us. Thank you.
Okay, the first one is from Sandra J. She wrote, please oppose plan building high-rise mixed-use project at 1616 Euclid Avenue and 1619 Walnut Street, as we have too many high-rise on Valley Boulevard between U Avenue and San Gabriel Boulevard. This is out of control. We notice you already approved 222 rooms for the Hyatt Hotel with 87 condominiums and 50,000 square foot of commercial space on 101 to 111 West Valley Boulevard. Another 50,000 square foot commercial space and 127 condominiums on 400 to 420 West Valley Boulevard. We also noticed construction on Valley and Delmar Avenue. Wonder what kind of huge project is coming up. Please, no more high-rise mixed use over 2-story high in the area. We do not oppose the build because we know you won't scratch the project. The residents here are too nice and the city will do whatever to make the developers happy. They don't care about the residents that are crying for help. What do you need to do to stop all this building? I know you will ignore us again. Please don't, not this time. Please, we urge you to consider just 2 stories project is good enough. This is not good for the environment and not good for traffic. Please consider a maximum of 15 units as the neighborhood density is out of control. No more high-rise mixed use. Thank you. The second one is from Bonnie. And she says, I reject the idea and application for the development of mixed use of this project. Reason is that opposite to this site, a mixed use project of 83 apartments is already underway. The traffic will be terrible already. With this project on Euclid and Walnut, safety is a very serious matter with drivers and pedestrians. Even now, without the projects, Euclid is narrow for two-way traffic, with parked cars on both sides of the road. Please consider the residents in this area and put the project on hold until the mixed-use project on Euclid and Palm Street is completed. Thank you for your attention. Bonnie Fung. The third one is from Mr. Jeremy Lee. I can't really believe my eyes when I received the public notice, which across my house from a tiny, roughly 800 square foot house into a 38 apartments and business commercial space. I really don't understand how can a city planning will approve in a single avenue, very low density, almost all single family housing into over 100 units from both sides of the avenue. I went to the city public hearing last time regarding the bigger project of 64 units and disapproved the idea with business and housing units mixed use will create a big problem of congested traffic and will take up all the street space to local residents and commercial mixed use day and night. Now with another 38 units coming, and I want to know if in the first place, how the mixed use will work where business not directly attached on the big street and not small alley, which is not even a street. How can it qualify for commercial use if you approve this project? I will turn my house to a 4-story high mixed use too. I can welcome more like a multi-townhouses, but definitely not that high rise multi-units that already had a huge project going on now. Thank you for understanding. The next one is from Pat Mack, also signed by a named Lena. It says, please do not approve plan of design this property as the following. This is single family resident area and cannot be converted to commercial mixed use. The city already approved a huge condo on Euclid Street, so no more. Maximum build a single family only. Too many condos are in the process and should postpone until 2014. Sewers over capacity and we do not want water and other fees increase because of all these development. This project should not be exempt from CEQA guidelines. No more high-rise and mixed use in the area. No condos or else. Stop the build. We do not approve this, and for once, listen to the residents. Stop greedy developers from hurting our neighborhood. We asked you to lower the units, but you did not, so this time you should listen to residents. More density, more COVID-19, and more people will die. Stop the building and listen to residents like in Rosemead. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call or text me. The next one is from Mr. Tom Lamb. I totally disagree with such a big project on Walnut Street and Euclid Avenue. Since I own my property on Walnut Street, it was zoned R2. The neighbor properties, which are mainly style house and single story. We live quiet and peace. I don't want to see a big building on Walnut Street. Walnut Street is a busy and congested road. The vehicle hits south Walnut Street, get through the freeway. It will cause traffic problems and create a safety hazard. The amount of noise and privacy are unhealthy to the area residents. Property windows are being seen easily by stalkers. Overall, I feel this development is not in the best interest of me. I sincerely ask that the City Council of San Gabriel to refuse this project plan. I encourage the development team to resubmit a small building. The next one is from John Hune. It says, as a resident of the City of San Gabriel for over 37 years and resident living on Walnut Street within close proximity of a proposed development site of a mixed-use project, I am writing to email to voice my concern and indicate my opposition to the proposed development. Throughout my years of living and growing up in San Gabriel, I have been a direct witness to the change and growth in the city, some of which was good and some of which was bad. From seeing the Pizza Hut that used to exist where the current Hilton Hotel is located, to where Norm's Restaurant used to be and its current development, to the San Gabriel Sheraton and what once was Howard's Electronic, which is currently under development as a mixed use. The city of San Gabriel has grown significantly. However, as the city developed and grew, so did the population. With an increased amount of people came traffic and not far behind crime. With the current state of the pandemic crisis and the economic fallout from it, driving down Valley Boulevard, you can see the impact it has had on the city. From seeing for lease signs, empty vacant retail storefront, and offices to residents moving out of the city due to the rising cost of living, it is sad to see the city the way it is. This current proposed project serves no beneficial purpose to the city of San Gabriel or the residents on Euclid Avenue and Walnut Street. For example, number one, the storefronts offices from the mixed use will be behind an existing strip of retail stores in which more than half currently have for lease signs and are vacant. What type of business does proposed 2,400 square foot of commercial space intend to bring in? And what makes them more attractive to have tenants fill the vacancies as lease rates will be significantly higher than the existing storefront facing Valley Boulevard, or will they also be another empty vacant commercial space? Number two, privacy, parking, traffic, and crime. A 4-story, 38-unit apartment building will tower and encroach over the residents of neighborhood, which will compromise privacy, as there will be direct view of the homes and yards. With a 38-unit apartment, it will significantly increase the amount of cars, traffic, and different array of people in the area. With an increase of traffic and people, there is a direct correlation in increased crime. As a victim of an attempted burglary, I am extra vigilant with the activity on my street. With an increase of traffic and people, parking and suspicious activity will surely follow and spill over onto the neighboring streets. Number 3, beneficial purpose to the community. In my opinion, with several mixed-use projects currently under within the city of San Gabriel, in addition to the currently one underway, Howard's Electronic, another mixed-use project, especially even in closer proximity to residents, will serve no beneficial purpose to the residents on Euclid Avenue and Walnut Street, only negatives. Please preserve the charm that is San Gabriel and not approve this development, as it will serve no beneficial purpose to the residents. And then the next one is, this is a petition with 33 names who signed this one. So it reads, we, the undersigned, strongly oppose the approval of this project. This huge 3-story project is simply too large for this area. It will be an eyesore to the mostly single-story homes on Euclid Avenue and Walnut Street, immediately south of the project. It just does not fit in. The project site should be developed as a buffer zone between the commercial stores to the north and the residential area to the south. It should be limited to a maximum of 2 stories. This project, when fully occupied, will cause both Euclid Avenue and Walnut Street to be full of parked cars. The project provides 1 parking stall for each unit, plus 8 stalls for guests and 7 stalls for the 2,400 square feet of commercial. If a considerable number of the occupants own more than 1 car, those additional cars will need to park in the street. I understand that several sewers in the city of San Gabriel are at or exceed capacity. The Sheraton Hotel and the proposed development on Valley Boulevard between Euclid and Palm Avenue and this project put additional concern on the adequacy of the sewers in this area. If this is the case, this project should not be exempt from the CEQA guidelines. Now we'll read the 33 names that signed this petition. It's Josephine and Edward Elizondo at 1622 Walnut Street. I cannot read the handwriting, but it looks like Frank or Frederick Kuo at 1028 Walnut Street. Then there's, it looks like a May Ann Nguyen, David Hong, Emily Nguyen, Julie Nguyen, and Chin Nguyen, residents at 1701 Walnut Street. And then Kenny Chow or Chan at 1644 Euclid Avenue. And then Jessica Hopkins, Janet Whitehead, and Bruce Whitehead at 1717 South Walnut Street. Then I already read her name earlier, Bonnie Fang. And then Lam S. Huang at 1640 Euclid Avenue. And then there's a resident whose signature is in Chinese characters, a resident at 1632 Euclid Avenue. Then Chen Li at 1627 Euclid Avenue. Then Van Min Chen at 1641 Euclid Avenue. And then there's Antoinette Brunning and John Brunning at 1963 South Lafayette Street. Then Ben Vang at 1968 Lafayette Street. Wendy Hopkins at 1969 South Lafayette Street. Jordan Hopkins at 1969.5 Lafayette Street. Charles and Angela Sanchez at 1808 California Street. And then Jesus and Heidi Nuno at 1718 South Walnut Street. And then I have Chu L. at 1625 Euclid and Sib Sai at 1726 Euclid. So that's that for that petition. And we have one more that came through the email from Debbie Kilgore. And she asks these two questions. What are the rental rates for the studios and one-bedroom units? And will the 38 apartments be affordable for middle-income residents? That concludes the public comment section, Chairman Cheng.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Want to thank all the neighbors and the input from the neighborhood. Hearing that, I'd like to give the chance to the applicant to either address to some of the particular concerns, or you can address to some of the neighbors' concern overall. Who from the applicant side should at least try to answer to some of the questions.
Chairman Chang, Dave Gutierrez. I think I'd like to take a shot at this. And certainly if any of my colleagues feel that they would like to add to it, I would offer that opportunity to them. The comments that you have heard from the residents that signed the petition, as well as the individual emails, parallel exactly the same type of concerns that were posted on the original, as a result of the original letter that went out last July. And again, it appears that the concerns voiced by the local residents focus on projects along the Valley Boulevard corridor that have already been entitled based on the very allowances that this project is asking to be considered for. And that's certainly the goals and the vision of the Valley Boulevard specific plan that was approved in 2006. This project has been designed based on those allowances, and certainly beyond that, we have made considerable reductions in the size and the massings that originally we considered were allowable, that was deemed excessive by comments received from the design review the last time it was reviewed. So we do sympathize with the concerns of the local residents, but realizing that back when the Valley Boulevard specific plan was approved, it was approved with a vision, and that vision, and as outlined and supported by staff in their staff report, meets, so this project meets those parameters. And so we are of the opinion that we are building this based on those allowances, and we are excited that we are going to be bringing a beautiful project to a blighted area, and again, following what was envisioned some years back.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from your team would like to respond to some of the concerns? So here,
Chairman, this is Kenneth from CDA. I think David has caught most of the. I think his response is good enough for the team. So, but if you do have any additional questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Anything in particular in regards to the letters. That is. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, it is now 8:21. I'd like to put on the record that that we will not receive further public comments after this moment. I do like to maybe ask a couple of questions before we close the public hearing. On your commercial area, which is not a lot of footage. Because of the commercial use, you have a fairly high ceiling height, I guess, because of the potential need for commercial purpose. You have any idea what the commercial tenant may be? Because usually these are the questions that would be asked by the planning commission, but since it's not going to go to the planning commission in this particular case, I think it kind of come down to the design review commission. I don't know what is under our purview to request that, but it does affect the design overall. So if I may ask you to give us some idea what the potential two occupant space of the commercial use are.
I'll take the lead on this, Mr. Chairman. From the onset, from when this project was being considered by the owner had stipulated that they wanted to occupy this particular commercial area. So that being said, we never did request any more information from the owner because, again, they had apparently had a plan as to what they wanted to do with it. And I know we do have a representative from ownership available. And if you would like to, maybe we might ask him to see what, if he has any specific knowledge as to what they're planning.
Yeah, I appreciate that because it may help the general public to understand. There was a couple of letters concerning about how can you run a successful commercial business behind the alley. And if the owner specifically has a particular use for his own personal use or his own personal business, that may ease off some of the concern of some of the neighbors. If the owner would like to share that information with the commission, that may help.
Hi,
Jimmy, are you?
Yes, this is Jimmy. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Jimmy, are you the owner?
Yes, I'm the representative for the owner. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Commission, for giving us this time to look over our project. So the information I got from the owners is that they would like to use this more like an office space.
Okay, so it's not really for a retail commercial, but rather a commercial office space.
Yes, they could use it as a commercial office space. And if something retail presents itself, then obviously, that's something that they would like to pursue, but office space would, do just fine there.
So if that's the case, is there a reason to have like a 16-foot ceiling height for an office purpose? Because
Chairman, if you mind if I step in really quickly, this is Kenneth Pang for the architect again.
Right.
So the ownership, I think they ultimately would like to come in with and take over the space. But of course, when we design things, we want to have some flexibility. What could it be in the future? Some flexibility in the use of the space, right? We don't want to be confined to just office retail space. I mean, commercial office space. So usually retail has a little bit of a higher ceiling. So we didn't want to just be confined to a commercial office. We also, if as you said, as the neighborhood said, we want to have a broad range of potential candidates to fill in the site. So that was one of the reasons why we designed the ceiling at this is 40 floor height at 16 feet. So another thing to consider is I mean, after the structure and MDP, the drops in the ceiling space, we're probably talking about 13 feet ceiling. So I think that's pretty reasonable for the space. So that's our thinking. So I hope that answers your question regarding the ceiling height for the office space, for the commercial space.
And your residential ceiling height on second and third floor?
Yes,
What-
the residential floor-to-floor height right now are at 10 feet 6, and for both the second and third floor. The last time we met with the commission back in last, actually maybe more than last year, we had ceiling heights of, floor-to-floor heights of 11 feet and 11 feet 6. So we did take into consideration your comments from last time, and then we have applied it to this new redesign. So in both the residential floors, we did reduce it to 10 feet 6, basically, from 11 feet 6.
Yeah, well, the reason why I ask is because by the time you add all this footage together, I think that's what some of the neighbors' concern is, because it does add up to be a fairly tall building. We understand it's not a high rise in some of the neighbors addressed too, but it is a 3-story building of close to 40 something feet tall. And so I just want you to keep that in mind. Maybe after the deliberation, maybe you can hear some feedback from the rest of the commissioners. Okay, are there anything else that you'd like to address the commission before I close the public hearing?
Not really. I think we just like to, as on behalf of the team, I think we would just like to re-emphasize that, the team worked with staff and the city over the past couple of years, and everything that you see here today has been designed per code and per the vision of the Valley Specific Plan, and there has been, no significant impact also determined by CEQA as well. So I think we did a good job in addressing some of those comments and concerns by the neighbors. So thank you for the chance for speaking tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, with that said, I'll close the public portion of the meeting at 8:29, and we'll open it up for our own internal deliberation. Commissioner Zalo, you'd like to share some of your feeling on this project?
Yes. Looking at the project where it's at now, and what we had reviewed before, and also the adjustments and the concessions that the developer has made, going from 4 stories to 3 stories, reducing the total FAR to about 75% of what is allowed, and almost doubling the required open space. I feel that those are major concessions made to the design. Also, my opinion is that this type of mixed-use multifamily housing helps softens the transition between commercial zone districts and single-family residential parcels. So I would like to see this project proceed forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nadoni?
Yeah, I also agree with Commissioner Salo in the comments about the reduction that the commission suggested, reducing 1 level, reducing floor-to-floors. I believe that the height, first floor height, I think is probably as low as it probably can get if you're expecting any kind of service trucks or anything through there. So I actually, I'm comfortable with where the project is, and I think I hope it'll be a good addition to the city. We definitely need housing. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Ramo?
I don't know if there's anything that could be done with the Studio B units that are facing the south side and the 1-bedroom B units. These 4 units on the second floor and another 4 units on the third floor, have balconies and doors that open out and look into that residential neighborhood. If there's something could be done to lessen that impact of having the residents view directly into the residential neighborhoods, I think that would make a huge difference. With the Studio C units, there are windows there, but there's that hallway that is that buffer, and I think that works. That is definitely a mitigation point for privacy for those residents on that south side. So looking at landscaping, when you're looking at 3 stories, your trees will grow, but they're going to start off at about 10, 12 feet, and it's going to take several years for those trees to cover all of those balconies on going to the 3rd level. I don't know if the architect has any ideas of how to lessen the impact. I don't know if having higher walls is a way to do that, but definitely looking at the privacy of the residents. I think the height is one issue, but looking at ways to definitely buffer those 8 units, 4 on the 2nd level and 4 on the 3rd level. That's my comment.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all the comments made, and looking back to the time when we first looked at this project, the applicant and the designer had done what they have listened to some of the comments we made, some of the neighbors' concern. What's comforting to me is because these are apartments being owned and controlled by the property owner rather than selling out to a bunch of condominium units where everybody just worry about their own unit, where the common space usually can become a bigger problem. And I think the property owner will have much better control on the maintenance and on some of the concerns raised. The building is an attractive building up to this point. The right use of material, the right mix of material. Overall, I think it will become a very handsome project. I just want to make sure that the property owner and the design team will listen to some of the concerns, particularly what Chair Romo's concern on how do you improve the landscaping to soften that buffer zone from commercial on Valley Boulevard to a multiple unit residential, and then with some buffer on the landscaping to a single family area. I think that's logical. I hope the neighbors will understand that those issues and concerns that they may have is not really caused by this particular project at this time. It's some of the concerns I heard refer back to the 2006 Valley Boulevard plan, and it will be unfair for us to not approve a project that is within the same guideline. So the best we can ask them to do is to listen to some of your concerns and try to improve it further. So that's pretty much how I feel, and I think if I can have a motion from the commissioners to this project, I would appreciate that.
This is Commissioner Salo. I motion to approve the project.
Thank you. It's moved by Commissioner Salo. Do I hear a second?
This is Commissioner Nadolny. I second.
Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded. May I have the vote, please?
Roll call vote, Chair Chang,
Yes.
Vice Chair Romo, Vice Chair Romo,
You're on mute, Vice Chair Ramos.
I vote yes, with the caveat of not only the landscaping, but that they look at some type of frosting, with their higher balcony levels, some to give some type of provide the open space for the residents, but privacy for the adjoining neighbors on the south side. I do think if this was a residential project, we would be looking at windows, window treatments that would definitely give privacy to the adjoining neighbor. And I think that with both the windows and the balconies, with having those be blocked by some way so there's not a direct view, that will definitely help along with the landscaping. So yes, with the caveat.
Okay, that would make, we need to ask the person to make the motion and the second, would you be acceptable to include that friendly amendment to your motion?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Nadoni, would you accept that second to the amendment to your second? Are you on mute?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion has been amended with some friendly amendment, and my vote would accept the same amendment, that the applicant will work with the city and city architect to improve that concern. So continue on with the vote.
okay. Vice Chair Romo, you, yes, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Nadolny,
Yes.
Commissioner Salo.
Yes.
Motion passed, vote is 4-0.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And so please work with city staff and city architect to address the friendly amendment to the motion. Appreciate that.
We absolutely will, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to you and the commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
All right, so that pretty much conclude our open items, and we move on to agenda number 4, comments from staff. Any staff member want to address the commission at this time?
Yes, Chairman and members of the Design Commission, Happy New Year, happy 2021. Staff would like to take this opportunity to highlight some of the projects that will be coming before the Design Review Commission this upcoming year. Some of the larger projects, it was briefly touched upon this evening, the topic of housing. The city will be kicking off its housing element update this upcoming year. It's going to be an approximate 10-month process with a potential extension into February of 2022. So please, staff will be providing updates, but also keep an eye out for any postings, noticing website updates on this item. It's a very important item for the city. And just a general highlight of the housing element, it's something that is required by state law to be updated every 8 years. The city is currently in its 5th cycle for the year 2013 to 2021. Our next cycle will be to plan for the years 2021 to 2029. So please keep that on your radar. Also on the February 10th Historic Preservation meeting, the city's consulting firm that was brought on to assist with the historic context statement project will be going over and highlighting an outline of the research that they've put together over the holidays. So it's very exciting for staff to be able to provide an update on that. So please also, again, keep that on your radar. And also a couple of the larger projects will be coming before the Design Commission, the public storage project, which was brought to the Commission for preliminary review, has gone through Planning Commission as well as City Council these past few months, and will be coming back to the Design Review Commission. Also, Pacific Square, which is the mixed-use development off of San Gabriel Boulevard, will be coming before the Design Commission for preliminary review. And also, the city continues to receive multiple multi-unit residential developments as well as the single-family homes. So there will be a good number of items coming before the Design Review Board this upcoming year. And this concludes staff's comments.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any question for staff regarding both the housing element study and also the heritage review? So on the heritage review, I have a quick question, Samantha. We hired a firm that they will go through the process, but is it one of the process to go through some of the existing home stock or building stock that to identify certain building in the city, or is that part of their exercise?
Yes, so it's not so specific like an inventory, but what it will show would be the historical and cultural breakdowns, significant time periods throughout the years, and it'll reflect the type of architecture during those time periods generally. And then also it will go into discussion about the type of architecture generally throughout the city as well as within specific areas of the city, but it does not go into the level of detail as an inventory where it would go property by property to discuss specific architectural styles or historical or cultural significance, but it will help to put context to the city's history, both historically and culturally.
I see. But part of the demolition, will a standard process of review of the home being demolished be part of the exercise at all?
Not within the context statement that will be summarized. However, when properties are demolished, there is existing codes within the city's municipal code that addresses demolitions and requirements for identifying whether or not a property has historical or cultural significance. So there is some existing language within the city's municipal code currently.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, then we'll move on to item number 5, which is commissioners' comments and any conference meeting reports to the commission or to staff. Any comments at all from anybody? I just want to make a remark about how difficult it is for city staff and for the entire group of people here working diligently to get through it in the last year. I couldn't believe it's almost a year since we've been doing it since March, and trying to get through the public hearing and getting through the report, getting the plans printed, delivered. I couldn't thank staff and the city staff enough to keep this going while in this difficult time. I work at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. This last month has been probably the most difficult time as far as COVID patients and the number of ICU beds being used up with no empty beds. Have 900 beds in the hospital with about 1,100 patients every day. And you try to somehow fit that 200 extra patients somewhere to make it work and try to save some life. It's been extremely difficult. So same thing throughout the whole region, and I just want to thank staff for what you guys have done. It's a just remarkable job, and thank you. I appreciate that. So we need to give a hand to all of you. It's a great job. So I guess that's my only comment, that I just want to show my appreciation, and we need to take care of ourselves. Is the city staff getting close to get the COVID vaccination? Is there any particular arrangement to make that happen? Matt or Samantha, do you know?
The only comment that staff can provide to that now is at council meetings, both the fire chief and the police chief are very good at providing updates on the status of vaccination and where the city is at with that, with the life safety and essential staff for the city. For City Hall, I think we're slated somewhere on the schedule. We hear the following month, but nothing definitive yet. But it's good news that eventually city staff will also get that opportunity, but no definitive answers yet.
Yeah, I am fortunate enough to have my first shot, and my next shot is next Tuesday. Some people had some concern about whether the side effect is going to affect us and all of that. I don't have any problem with that. I have the Pfizer shot, and my wife, because she's been compromised by cancer disease, and she had her Moderna shot, and both of us had no particular problem on reaction. So if you know anybody that through workers, the family members, the best thing for us to do is to go ahead and take it. Trust science. Take the shot. When we get up to 75-80% of the general population that are immunized, then I think we can go back to our normal life. So that's the best we can do. So when you get a chance to do it, just go take it. That's the best you can do. This is coming from our hospital administrator telling us to spread the word, so that anybody has any concern, tell them it is not, trust science. Try to do it as much as we can. So I just want to share that with you. Okay, so that's all my comments and report, and we'll adjourn this meeting to Monday, February the 22nd at 6:30 p.m. Via the same virtual devices. I want to thank you all. Any other comment from anybody?
Yes, Chairman. This is where Matt would typically jump in to remind the commission to leave your binders at the front door for pickup.
Okay. Do you want those plans back? Does it help you? The folded plans, do you want them, or do you want them?
If the commissioner would like to keep it, it's okay. If you want to keep it, you can go ahead and keep it.